Ma, we'll wait for 2 more minutes and then start, ma. Yes, ma. Any problems, ma? Until now, whatever I have covered, do you have any issues? Did you try combining the tables? Rule number 72? You try to combine with semester, ma. The two tables with the last table using semester. Try to combine with semester. If at all you're not getting, just ping me. It's just a natural join, ma, nothing else. Any other issues, ma? Anyone? Okay. So now going with transaction management, ma. Already I've covered the basics. I hope every one of you were present in that class, whoever are there today. So I told you, I'm just briefing it again. The transaction is a set of logically related operations, ma. It contains a group of tasks. Okay. So basically, whenever you're talking about a transaction, it majorly consists of read and write operations. Okay. It majorly consists of read and write operations. And a transaction is a series of actions. So it can be containing a series of read operations, series of write operations. In between, you can update the values of the database objects. You can update the values of the database objects, right? A transaction is set of changes that must all be made together. See, whenever you're working with a transaction, you should make sure that all the statements or all the actions that are present in a transaction should be made together, or it should not be reflected at all. If at all, there are some statements that are left out while executing a transaction. So I can indirectly say that a transaction is executed as a single unit. A transaction is executed as a single unit. And I've already told you this. If the database was in a consistent state before the execution of a transaction, then after the execution of a transaction also, the database must be in a consistent state. So this is what you have to keep in your mind, Mark. So how the database was there before starting my transaction, it has to be in the same state after I execute or after I complete the transaction. Okay, so process of a transaction. So I told you, Ma, the transaction is executed as a series of reads and writes. It is executed as a series of reads and writes of database objects. Okay, so the major two operations that are being performed with respect to a transaction are read and write operations. So read operation is used to read the value of a database object X from the database. Read operation is used to read the value of X from the database and stores it in a temporary buffer. Okay, it stores it in a temporary buffer. I'm just interested in reading the value of a database object X whenever I'm performing a read operation. So whenever I go with read operation, I'm just working with READ, read of A. So A is the database object that is existing in the database whose value I want to read. So this way I'm performing a read operation. And whenever I want to perform a write operation, I'm using the write keyword. WRITE, it's not RIGHT, write operation. Write is used to write the value back to the database from the buffer. So whenever you want to store something you have modified, whenever you want to store something you have modified into the database, then you are going to work with something which is called as a write operation. Write operation. So see, the execution of a transaction would be this way, Amma. The execution of a transaction would be this way. So before I actually start the transaction, database is in an consistent state. So the database is stable. That is the meaning of this. And once I enter the transaction, once I execute the transaction, database may be temporarily in an inconsistent state. So because I'm making modifications to the database objects, the database might not be in a consistent state. That is the reason I'm telling you it's in an inconsistent state. Okay. So this particular green color phase, which is nothing but the execution of a transaction. So the database objects are being modified. They are being read. After reading, I'm trying to perform some addition or subtraction or updation, all that stuff I'm trying to do. So that way, and I might not be writing it onto the database. Once I have deducted, I might not be writing, or once I have added, I might not be writing into the database. That is the reason this would be for some phase or temporarily in an inconsistent state. And once I reach the end of the transaction, when I say commit transaction, so when I use commit means that is the end statement of the transaction. So I can say that again the database is in a consistent state. Now, if at all this particular thing does not happen, what I have to do is I have to abort the transaction. I have to cancel the transaction which I have started. Okay. So this is the process of execution of a transaction. Now, after that, whatever I have told you in the last 5 minutes, so this is fact about the database transaction. A transaction is a program unit whose execution may or may not change the content of a database. I have clearly told you, Amma, whenever I'm trying to perform a read operation, it only reads the database objects. It's not performing any other operation apart from reading. So whenever a transaction tries to read the values of database objects, I'm not disturbing the database. So sometimes a transaction may change, sometimes a transaction may not change the contents of the database. And I told you it should be executed as a single unit. This is most important thing. See, and if the database operations do not update the database, then this particular transaction is called as read-only transaction. I'm not doing any modifications. I'm not doing any modifications to the database objects. Then that particular transaction is called as read-only transaction. And a successful transaction can change the database from one consistent state to another consistent state. So before the start of a transaction, if at all the database was in a consistent state C1, after the execution of a transaction, it might move to another consistent state C2. And whenever I'm talking about transactions, they have to follow the asset properties. They have to follow the asset properties. Okay. So these are few of the points which are nothing but termed as facts about a transaction. Then I have got the life cycle of a transaction. The life cycle of a transaction. Life cycle of a transaction. Or we can say that the states in a transaction. So it's termed as transaction states. Transaction states, right? So both are the same diagrams. Active. So this is the beginning of the transaction. Active state, partially committed, committed, terminated, and failed. The states of transactions are active. That is, whenever you start working with the transaction, it is in the active state. Whenever you execute the last statement of a transaction, it enters the partially committed state. Active is this transaction is in active mode. It is just begin its execution. It reaches partially committed state whenever it has executed its last statement. And once there is a failure, after it has reached partially committed state, it enters into the failed state. It enters into the failed state. Or from active state at the beginning of the transaction, there is a power failure or there is a system crash, software failure. Again, it might go to the failed state. So once you feel that a transaction has failed, you have to abort that particular transaction. So you have to redo the transaction fully. In order to see that the database is in a consistent state, you have to abort the transaction. So active goes to failure. If at all it has any problems, then it goes to the aborted state. Once I executed the last statement of the transaction, it goes into the partially committed. And here, if at all any problem occurs, it again goes into the failed state. From the failed state, you have to abort the transaction. And once you execute the commit transaction statement, once you execute the commit transaction statement, it goes into the committed. So meaning I have successfully executed the transaction. I have successfully executed the transaction. That is the meaning of this. So look at over here. Once step one, see this is step one, active, partially committed is 2, committed is 3. Once a transaction state starts execution, it is not states. Once a transaction starts execution, it becomes active. And it can issue a read or a write operation. All of you know that. It can issue a read or a write because these are the two statements that are majorly used in your transaction. Okay. 2 is once the read and write operations are complete, the transaction becomes partially committed or it enters the partially committed state. So once I feel that that is the end of my transaction, see from active, if at all I say I reach the end of transaction, I enter the partially committed state. Okay. Next, some recovery protocols need to ensure that a system failure will not result. If at all there is no problem with the system, no problems with the current, no problems with the software, I have executed the commit statement, then it reaches the committed state. And once a committed state has been reached, I can terminate the transaction, terminate or abort the transaction. You can write anything over there, terminated or aborted. Okay. Then step 4 would be if the check is failed, the transaction is a failure, it enters the failed state. After partially committed state has been entered. There is some sort of problem. It goes into the failed state. And I already told you, Amma, from the active state, if at all there is some problem that is occurring, it reaches the failed state. And once it reaches the failed state, I can terminate the transaction. I can close the transaction. I can abort the transaction. Okay. So this is about the different states a transaction can be in, or this is called as states of a transaction or transaction states. Is it clear, Ma? You have any problems with this? All of you, is it clear? What is a transaction? What are the different operations in a transaction? What are the facts about a transaction and the different states used in a transaction? Is it clear? Amma, this would be easy for you, Amma. This is just understanding, and you'll be just working with some sort of problems over here. That's it. So how you are managing the things would be coming over here. That is the concept of your transaction. And we'll be working with a very common example, banking. Most of you do banking transactions. So all of you are aware of the banking transactions, and we will be working with majorly banking transactions. We can work with online transactions. We can work with payment of, that's what I'm telling you. Payment means, again, it comes to your online shopping only. So these kinds of things, railway reservation, bus reservations, all that stuff can be thought of as a transaction. Okay. I hope it's clear, Ma. I'm not getting any response from you people. Okay, so this was about your states of a transaction. And now would be working with one more important concept, Ma. That is nothing but your asset properties. We call them properties of a transaction. We call them as properties of transactions or transaction properties, which are termed as your asset properties. Asset properties. I hope you can see the example clearly, Ma. I think the size is small. Okay, is it clear, Ma? All of you? Are you able to read, Ma? Now see, what are different kinds of asset properties? Already in the previous class, I have told you, Ma. Atomicity, durability, consistency, and isolation. Okay, so this is what asset stands for with respect to your transaction. And I'm working with a banking example, Ma. So read from account A. So what we can do with this would be, you can blindly write this as read of A. Read of A. Then here, instead of write _to account, it's just your understanding, Ma. Write of A. Write of A. Again, read of B. And here, write of B. I'm just telling you the terminology, how we are going to work with. Or you can directly say read of A. and here instead of write off A. So whichever way you want, you can work with. Whichever way you want, you can work with. So it's up to you. Now see, there are totally 6 statements in my transaction. So read from account A, subtract rupees 50 from account A, modify the value of A using the right statement, again read the value of account B, read the value of account B, and then add that 50 rupees to B, then write to B. So these are the 6 statements that I'm going to work with. Now, talking about atomicity requirement or the atomicity property. So see, Amma, try to understand what I'm just trying to talk about atomicity. Right. So see, if the transaction fails after entering the step 3. So after entering the step 3 and before step 6. So meaning I have executed blindly 3 steps of the transaction, and before actually executing the step 6, I'll assume that there is a failure in step 5. Failure in step 5. There is a failure in step 5. I'll assume system crash. Okay. Now what is happening over here? See, what I'm trying to do over here is instead of 50, I'm working with 5,000 and here 5,000. So before execution of the transaction, A had 6,000 bucks and B had 1,000 bucks. Okay, right now. So now what is happening here is I'm reading the A value. I'm getting the A value as 6,000. Then A is equal to A minus 5,000. So I'm just trying to calculate the value of A is equal to 1,000 over here. I'm not performing any write operation in step 2. Any write operation in step 2 I'm not performing over there. Now here what I'm trying to do is A value, I'm writing it onto the database. So whenever I perform a write operation onto the database, A would be modified as 1,000. A would be modified as 1,000 when I perform a write operation. Now, what is happening here? B value is being read, so B value is 1,000. Okay. Now, after performing B is equal to B plus 5,000, what will happen? B is equal to 6,000 would be there. Try to understand, ma? I'm not writing the value over here. I'm just trying to calculate the value. Now, after calculating the value, there is a system crash. Okay. Now, once there is a system crash, what will be happening to the values? What is the value of A? The new value of A is 1,000. What is the value of B? What is the new value of B? Again, it is 1,000. What is the total value of A plus B after the transaction has been failed or executed, whatever? The value over here is 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000. But initially, how much it was? It was 7,000. So is the data in the database in a consistent way? So before the execution of a transaction, the value of A plus B was 7,000. After the execution of the transaction, the value of A plus B is 2,000. So there is a mismatch between the starting and ending of a transaction. Okay. So whenever there is a failure after step 3 and before step 6, money will be lost. So here, how much money is lost? 5,000 is lost, leading to inconsistent database state. That is what I'm telling you. Both these values are not consistent, and the failure could be due to software or hardware. Okay. The system should try to ensure that updates of any partially executed transactions are not reflected in the database. So partially executed transaction meaning I have executed from step 1 to step 5. I have executed from step 1 to step 5, but I did not execute all the statements of the transaction. I did not execute all the steps of the transaction because I did not even start touching 6 step. So that means I have partially executed the transaction, and a partially executed transaction might leave the database in an inconsistent manner. That is the reason the updates that were made by a partially executed transaction should not be reflected into the database. And the atomicity requirement of the transaction states that do all or do nothing. So do all or do nothing. This is the atomicity requirement regarding the execution of a transaction. So do all means do all the statements of the transaction in a single go, or do nothing means do not start the transaction or do not transaction has executed successfully. Once you have got a notification that the transaction has been executed successfully, then the updates that are being made to the database objects should persist even though there is a software or hardware failure. So once I say that the transaction has executed all its steps successfully, now the transaction has made these two changes. A is equal to 1000, B is equal to 6000. And once I execute the step 6 and say that the transaction has executed successfully, after this, any number of failures are there, this particular data should be consistent. So it should be adapt to changes. The database object should be durable. You can modify the changes that were made by the transaction. They should persist. That is the meaning of your durability requirement. Okay. Now see, talking about the next third one, consistency requirement. Just increasing the size. So see, consistency requirement. The sum of A and B is unchanged by the execution of the transaction. The sum of A and B is unchanged by the execution of a transaction. Then only I say that the transaction has achieved the consistency requirement. So I'll just make it simple. Before the start of transaction, A plus B is equal to 12,000. A plus B is equal to 12,000 before actually I started. So this was before transaction starts. And after the end of transaction, which is nothing but step 6, if at all again I have A plus B is equal to 12,000. After transaction ends, then I say that the consistency requirement is satisfied. Okay, it can deal with account balances, it can deal with primary key, foreign key relationships, everything. But it should be in a consistent state. That is the concept of your consistency. Next is the last one, isolation requirement. Isolation requirement. So this is used whenever you want to work with concurrent execution of transactions. Whenever you want to work with concurrent execution of transactions, this is what you have to achieve. This is what you have to achieve. Okay, now see, what is isolation requirement? If in between steps 3 and 6, so once I'm done with step 3, the transfer is being controlled to transaction T2. I'll just try to explain it simply, Amma. There are two transactions that are running parallelly. So a transaction called T1 and a transaction called T2. Okay. Now try to understand. If in between steps 3 and 6, another transaction T2 is allowed to access the partially updated database. Why I'm calling it as a partially updated database is because T1 has not committed and the control is going to T2. Now, what will happen if at all these kinds of things occur? Just try to understand. What is the problem that is going to occur? Now, see, again, I'll be working with I'm working with value of A is 1000 and value of B is 2000. Okay, value of A is 1000, value of B is 2000. In step 2, what is happening? Step 2, what is happening here is A value becomes 950. Okay, and I'm just trying to store the value of A into the database. Store the value of A into the database. So 950 would be present and value of B is 2000 over here. I'm not performing any read of B over here. I'm just telling you value of B would be 2000. So this is B value. And just for your knowledge, I'm telling you, don't write this over here. B. Okay. Now see, after that, what is happening? Transaction T2. This is with respect to transaction T1. Okay, transaction T1. This is with respect to transaction T1. Now, at a particular time, the control is going from T1 to T2 after step 3. Now, what T2 is trying to do is T2 is trying to read the value of A. What would be the value of A read by T2? What would be the value of A read by T2? Can any one of you specify, ma? What would be the value of A read by T2? It is 950. Good. Okay. So A is equal to 950. And what is the value of B, ma? What is the value of B? The value of B is 2000 because I did not perform any modifications. 2000. Okay. Now again, here in T2 only, Amma, with respect to transaction T2 only, I am doing. Okay. I'll just change the color to red so that there's no confusion over here. Okay. Right. Now, here what I'm trying to do, print A plus B. What is A plus B? Print A plus B is 2950. Okay, 2950. Now, again, after printing this value, this has already been printed out. This is the end of transaction T2 because there is only 3 steps in the transaction T2. All the steps have been covered. So T2 successfully executed. Now I'm going back to T1. Now what is T1 doing? Reading the value of B, which is nothing but 2000. Then B is equal to B plus 50, 2050. And here there is a failure. There is a power failure. Now, according to atomicity requirement, what I have to do? Once I'm not able to execute the transaction fully, I have to abort the transaction. So I have to abort. Now, once I abort the transaction, what will happen, Ma? All these steps which were modifying the database would be cancelled, and the new values of A would be how much? A is equal to 1000 and B is equal to 2000. Now, what is the value of A plus B over here? It is 3000. What is the value that was printed, Amma? 2950. So there is a problem. If at all I accept the values of a partially committed transaction. So what I have to do is I have to ensure that whenever there are transactions that are running parallelly, they should be made serial so that there is no loss of information. So isolation can be ensured trivially by running transactions serially. So there is a special topic on DISMA. We'll be working with that particular topic. So isolation can be ensured trivially by running transactions serially. That is one after the other. So once I complete transaction T1, I go with T2, or complete T2, go with T1. That is the meaning of running transactions serially. But as there are disadvantages of running transactions concurrently, there are advantages also. However, executing multiple transactions concurrently has significant benefits. So there are benefits of running concurrent execution of transactions. What are the benefits? I'll let you know while you're working with concurrency control. So this is about the four properties, Ma. I'm just giving you a brief about the transactions, the properties of transaction. So again, I'll not go with the definition of a transaction because I've told you n number of times. Now, atomicity. Either all operations of the transactions are properly reflected in the database or none. Okay. Consistency. Execution of a transaction preserves the consistency of the database. Execution of a transaction preserves the consistency of a database. Isolation. Although multiple transactions may execute concurrently, each transaction must be unaware of another concurrently executing transaction. So, even though there are n number of transactions that are running parallelly, each should be isolated from one another. That is the meaning of this mark. And durability is after a transaction completes successfully, the changes it has made to the database objects, the changes it has made to the database objects must persist despite failures. So this is a briefing about your what acid properties, man. Just go through the acid properties once. You have any questions, you can ask, man. Ma, is it okay, ma? You have any problems, ma? Yeah, Satvika. Yeah, Satvika, you can speak up, ma. What's your doubt, ma?
Sir, if the transaction takes place in an inconsistent state, then it was said that if it changes the database from one inconsistent state to another inconsistent state, right? So is the transaction successful then?
See, Amar, the transaction will make the database stay in an inconsistent state until it's in execution.
No, sir, the initial state itself is inconsistent.
How can you say the database is in an inconsistent state, ma?
Sir, like you have given us in.
See, I was talking about A value is 1000, B value is 2000, assume.
Yes, sir.
So if at all I say A value is 1000, B value is 2000, I assume that to be a consistent state of the database. Because A's account was having 1000, B's account was having 2000. Or let's take one more example, ma. So I'm going with bus reservation. Okay. So totally there are around 40 seats in a bus. Before the execution of a transaction, 20 seats were already filled. 20 seats were already filled. I'm trying to fill 5 seats. Okay, I'm trying to fill 5 more seats. So before it was 20, after the execution of the transaction, if at all it is 25 only, I say that the transaction has properly executed because 20 plus 5. So 20 was already filled up. Now the new would be 5. So 20 plus 5. Before the start of transaction, I say 20 have been filled. It was checked. So it is in a consistent state. And after the execution of transaction, 5 more seats have been filled. So it is 25. Okay, fine. It is in a consistent state. So that is what I mean to say.
Sir, you have given us a point in the facts about database transaction. It says
Yes.
if the database were in an inconsistent state before the transaction, it would remain inconsistent after the transaction. Now, my doubt is will this kind of transaction be a successful transaction?
That is what I am telling, ma. When do you say your database is in an inconsistent state? That is what I'm asking you. Will your database be in an inconsistent state if at all you are trying to say that my transaction is successful? So when can you say that my database is in inconsistent state? Can you ever say that?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Got it.
No, see, you're working with something, Satvika. Uh, just assume you have some 10,000 bucks in your
Yes, sir.
account. 10,000 bucks in your account. You did not try to modify your account for n number of days, but suddenly after looking at your account, it was only showing you 1,000 bucks. So at that particular point only, you can say that it is an inconsistent data. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And once you work with your transaction, you're just trying to give a complaint, online complaint. If at all they are not able to do anything with that, because somehow your money got lost and they are not again able to repay you, then after the successful closure of the complaint also your account is 1,000. So initially before the execution of the transaction and after the execution of the transaction your account is showing only 1,000 bucks. So would you be satisfied with that 1,000 rupees instead of 10,000?
No, I wouldn't be.
You wouldn't be. But what
Yeah.
is happening in between? The transaction is successful.
Yeah.
That is the meaning of that. And that rarely happens.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
Is it clear or any problem?
Yeah, understood, sir. Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, ma.
Yeah.
Any other questions, ma, from all of you? Okay. Now, see, Emma, the next topic would be implementation of atomicity and durability. Implementation of atomicity and durability. And this is done by the recovery management component of the database system. Okay, so this is done by the recovery management component. And we use the shadow database scheme in order to implement atomicity and durability. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pick up two of the properties and show you how we are going to implement atomicity and durability. Okay, so see, all updates are made on a shadow copy of the database. So whenever you want to perform any updates, they are made on the shadow copy of the database. So try to understand over here. Now, the process would be, I have old copy of the database and I have a new copy of the database. Old copy of a database, new copy of a database, and in between, I have the copy of the old copy. I have the copy of the old copy, right? So this is called as the shadow database. This is called as a shadow database. Now, this particular process would be before the update, and this process would be after the update. And every time a database pointer is pointing to the current consistent database copy. So as of now, before I have performed any operations on the database with respect to your transaction, this is my consistent copy, current consistent copy. So my database pointer is made to point to the consistent copy. Now see, whenever there are some statements that are being performed with respect to a transaction, whenever there are some changes that are being performed with respect to a transaction, it would be reflected on the shadow copy, not on the original copy. So if at all I say there are some database items A, B, C in the database with respect to the old copy. So what I'm trying to do is, if at all I say A is equal to A plus some 2000. So that wouldn't be reflected here, Amma, that would be reflected here. So A's value, initially it was 1000. The new value, which is 3000, would be reflected here. And whatever, if at all I'm subtracting the value of B or multiplying the value of C, everything would be reflected in the shadow copy. Okay. And once I see that the transaction has been successfully executed, this would be the modified version of this particular database. This would be the modified version of this particular database whose changes are being reflected over here. And once I make my DB pointer point to the new copy of the database, which was updated according to the successful execution of the transaction, this particular old copy of the database would be deleted, and this DB pointer would be pointing to the new consistent database. New consistent database. That is the new copy of the database. CMO. DB pointer always points to the current consistent copy of the database. In case transaction fails, old consistent copy pointed by the DB pointer can be used. So see, after I'm done with this particular processes of adding something to A, subtracting something from B, and multiplying something into C, Before actually I'm trying to perform a write operation, there is a transaction failure. What will happen? My DB pointer would be pointing to this particular database only because my transaction hasn't been completed as of yet. So what will happen? Even though changes were made, my DB pointer is still pointing to the current consistent copy. That is what is being told over here. Okay. And the shadow based scheme assumes that only one transaction is active at a time. The major assumption while you're working with implementation of atomicity and durability is assume that only one transaction is active, even though there are n number of transactions. Okay. And while you're working with the shadow-based scheme, there are no disk failures. You have to assume that there are no disk failures. Okay. And this is only efficient for smaller databases. This is only efficient for smaller databases and inefficient for large databases. So if at all your database size is small, you can use this shadow based scheme. Okay. So once you feel the transaction has executed all the steps, you have to make the DB pointer point to the new copy of the database. So once I say all the statements have been executed, this would be converted into a new copy of database, and the DB pointer, which was actually pointing to the old copy of the database, would be now pointing to the new copy of the database. New copy of the database. 1 second. I was just looking for an example. Only concurrent schedules are there. Okay, leave it now. Now see, so this is DB pointer pointing to the old database before the actual transaction starts. While a transaction is started, all the modifications are being done to the copy of the old copy. So this is a shadow of this particular database. It's quite simple. Okay. And once the transaction enters the commit state, this would be converted into a new copy of database. That would be the new copy of database, which is an updated version of the old copy. And then my DB pointer would be pointing to the new copy of the database. That is the concept. Okay, this is shadow copy. And while you want to work with this, we have the concept of log-based recoveries. We'll be working with that in the end of the 4th unit. Log-based recovery is there. We'll be working with that. But whenever you're working with large databases, this is purely inefficient technology. Just in order to know what actually happens, how we are able to maintain the old copies of the database, this is what I have just taken, or I've just explained it. Because sometimes I told you, once you are done with step 3 and after step 5 there is a failure, then how you get back the original data is using this particular concept. You can still have the old copy of the database, which is still pointed by the DB pointer. That is the reason you're working, or you're getting back the original contents. Is it clear, ma? Any questions you have? All of you? Is it clear, or any questions, ma?